Hey everybody, my name is Natalie Duncan-Emmons. I wanted to thank you for listening to this episode of The Morning Show. I'm the creator, the producer, and the host of the show. We want you to check out our website. It's themorningshowwithnatalie.com. You can go to that website. You can see all about our sponsors, all about the show. You can even listen to live episodes while they're going on right there from the website. Another way to listen to the show live is go to Live 365. You can download that app and just search for The Morning Show. It's right there. Super easy. We want you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you will. That way you can keep up with what's going on the morning show. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, we have a brand new segment here on the morning show. We call it Throwback Thursday. And every Thursday, we want to go back and grab one of those classic hits from the 80s and 90s, those songs that help make me who I am, and they're just chiseled in my DNA. Today, we're beginning that segment the very first time, and we're starting with a very special song, a special group, a special writer. The song is You Can't Ask Too Much of My God by the legendary Bishops. And we just happen to have the co-founder of the Bishops and the writer of that work of art, Mark Bishop, here with us right now on the morning show. Mark, are you there?
Natalie, I don't know if I can live up to any of that.
I think you're very worthy. We're so happy to have you on the morning show. We've been excited about this, Mark.
Well, I'm tickled to be here with you. You know, I don't know if I should be a little depressed that I am eligible for Throwback Thursday.
Isn't that something? It's crazy how the world goes around, but here we are.
I know, Mark,
we hear you
get away from you.
Yeah, we hear you 2 or 3 times a week here on our comedy segment on the morning show. You're happy when you're laughing. We love it.
That's right. That's right. Greg Goodman over at Daywind Records, which is actually our competition, really. I'm with a different record label than who he works for, but we're friends. And he had called me up back when the pandemic first started and said, Mark, you tell a lot of funny stories in your concerts. He said, why don't you record some of that stuff? Because people just kind of need a reason to laugh with the pandemic going on and everything was shutting down at that time. And of course, I'm OCD about everything. When somebody puts me on a task, I just take it to the nth level.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, actually our former bass player, Steve Perkins, he asked, or I started talking to him. I said, let's just put together a little show for a little while since I'm home anyway, because we canceled about 75 concerts that first year whenever the pandemic set in. We couldn't, gather in buildings anymore. So I had to stay busy. So we put together this little show, You're Happy When You're Laughing. It's 1-minute segments, airs weekdays. And we still haven't run out of funny things to talk about.
Well, we're glad that you haven't. We love it. We mix you and Dennis Swanberg up every day. And sometimes we throw Tim Lovelace in there, just kind of mix it up. And we absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm in good company then. Those
you
are good
are.
friends.
Look,
Those
we
are
have
good
high
friends
standards around here on the morning show. That's for sure. Well, Mark, we're looking back this morning, taking a little trip down memory lane. And I need to tell you that it just stirs up something sweet and precious, some sweet memories for me. My childhood was saturated in the Bishops, and this one's just kind of personal. I don't have any statistics to prove what I'm going to say here, and it's not written in a magazine somewhere. It's just my heart. But in my mind, the history of Southern gospel music can be divided into segments of time that were influenced by particular artists or particular styles. And I think that the 90s, especially the late era of the 90s, I think that's the era of the Bishops. And the Bishops changed everything. They tore down walls and they dissolved boundaries. They created this perfect blend of Southern gospel and bluegrass and folk music, a little a cappella and some instrumental and storytelling and humor. And you did it with class and style and such likability. You changed us for the better, and we treasure the era of the Bishops. So let's talk about this song, Mark. You had a lot of big songs, a lot of great songs. The Bishops didn't have a bad song, but I think You Can't Ask Too Much of My God. Well, I think it's one of the best. I actually think it's one of the greatest songs of the 90s. That's how much I love the song. Tell me, you got to write it. Tell me about writing this song. What did it mean to you? You can't ask too much of my God.
Well, I was sitting on the front porch. I've got 2 or 3 places that I write songs. I probably write most songs while I'm driving from one place to the next, because I still go out and do concerts. And of course, we were doing a lot of concerts back then too. And there were a lot of 4-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour drives, and you've got to do something productive. So that's when I would write songs a lot of times while I'm driving from one concert to the next. But this particular one, I was sitting on my front porch. That's my second favorite place to write songs.
Mhm.
And I don't even know where my state of mind was with that. I know that we had just switched record companies. Prior to that, we had been with the Eddie Crook Company, Morning Star Records, and had been with Eddie for about 10 years. And we were switching over to Homeland, Bill Traylor. And we was going to be on the same label with the Cathedrals and the Hoppers and Wendy Bagwell and all of those. And so I was writing songs for our first album with a new record company, and I wanted to put my best foot forward. But I was sitting on the front porch and started writing down the words with a prayer and a little rock. The giant fell right on the spot. That's what David prayed for, and that's what David got. And as soon as I wrote that down, I started crying a little bit, and I said, Lord, thank you. I believe this is going to be a #1 song. And sure enough, a few months later, it ended up being a #1 song. But God blessed us to get to sing a lot of good songs. You know, if you just write about the Lord, you write about the stories in the Bible, you write about Jesus, then it makes it easy. I will never run out of things to write songs about.
Well, the first time I ever heard it, I wasn't very old, but I said the same thing, Mark. I said, I believe this is going to be a #1 song. And I don't know how many times in my life I've heard it. There's no telling, but it never gets old and it never loses that special meaning. What an honor it is to play it today on the morning show. Here it is. We're throwing it back to the Bishops. You can't ask too much of my God.
When David gathered a handful of stones, and where the soldiers had fallen, he waited alone. With a prayer and a little rock, the giant fell right on the spot. Well, that's what David prayed for, and that's what David got. No, you can't ask too much of my God. No, you can't ask too much of my God. There was a woman drawing water from a well. She had so many regrets, so often she'd fail. But Jesus knew where she had been, still he forgave her of her sin. And her life began to flow, living water for the soul. No, you can't ask too much of my God. No, you can't ask too much of my God. When you're broken and you cannot find the peace of mind that seems to leave you behind, have you spoken to the God of Abraham, the great I am? He's greater than any problem you've got. And you can't ask too much of my God. You can't ask too much of my God. Upon the 3 Hebrew children God smiled, and when Sarah was 90, God gave her a child. Now I believe that just as then, He's here to move like that again. He has a miracle to do. He only needs to hear from you, and you can't ask too much of my God. No, you can't ask too much of my God. When you're broken and you cannot find the peace of mind that seems to leave you behind, have you spoken to the God of Abraham, the great I am? He's greater than any problem you've got. And you can't ask too much of my God. No, you you can't ask too much of my God. You can't ask too much of my God. No, you can't ask too much of my God.
Well, you heard it right here on the morning show. One of the greatest songs that came out of the 90s in Southern gospel music. That's the Bishops. You can't ask too much of my God. We got Mark Bishop with us. He wrote that great song. Mark, that one never gets old.
Well, we sang it 4 nights a week, every week for many, many years. So it kind of got old to me. No, we loved singing it every night. It would get requests every night. And it just reminds us as Christians, that whatever is going on in our life, God can handle it.
Well, it doesn't get old to us, but we haven't sang it as many times as you have. Look, but before we go, let's say this. Your most recent song, I believe it's still on the charts right now, Across the River. We want to play that. And I believe I read somewhere that you wrote, it's a new song to us, but I believe you wrote this song back in the old Bishop days. Tell us about writing this one.
Yes, wrote that for our a cappella album, one of our a cappella albums many years ago, and we recorded it a cappella. But I was recording in the studio this past year a mountain album that had kind of a Celtic feel, and I remembered that song, and we thought, man, let's put some music to that, updated. I added a chorus to it, and so it's an old song made new.
Well, we love it. It's so different. And that's when we want something with a little bit of a different flavor here on the morning show, well, we throw in this song right here. Mark, we've enjoyed the morning. Thank you for visiting with us on the morning show, bringing back some fun memories.
Natalie, keep up the great work.
Thank you, Mark. We'll talk soon. Here's Across the River.
Ever since a little child, I heard my mother tell me often of the streets of gold, and I can see them clearly. A vivid picture in my mind, a place that I consider to be a vision of the land that waits across the river. There'll be no pain that comes with death, hearts will never be broken. No, and there shall no regret, no harsh words will be spoken. I'll leave behind a worried mind, trouble far behind me, and step upon the grassy banks where trouble cannot find me. Carry me o'er the muddy waters, there to touch my feet upon the shore. Carry me, and all the sons and daughters, till we lay our eyes upon the Lord. There'll be no early morning chill that causes me to shiver. I shall lay this form aside before I cross the river. Over on the other shore I saw my Father beckon. So long that I have seen his face, I'll tarry for a second. Mother dear, her voice so clear, thought I heard her calling. Hurry home, it's getting late, soon the night is falling. Should you go before I do, this message please deliver. Tell Mom and Dad that someday soon I too shall cross the river. Carry me o'er the muddy waters, there to touch my feet upon the shore. Carry me, and all the sons and daughters, till we lay our eyes upon the Lord. When the twilight of my life is come and night is falling, when I close my eyes in death and hear the Savior calling, when I whisper sad goodbyes to family gathered round me, I wonder if they'll see the holy angels that surround me. Shed no tear when days are done, this land is not forever. Forever is the place we'll meet, when we shall cross that river.